Hey, this is the Red Room. I am here with hopefully a quick video. I just did another video for the other channel, The Abstractionist. Anyway, so I'm getting closer to my season of the dead, my ancestral season. If you don't know, I probably post that, posted somewhere if I can remember, but I don't do my Day of the Dead October 31st or any kind of like established cultural tradition. I don't do it. I know the darker half of the year, particularly in the northern hemisphere, is more leaning towards like ancestral work and kind of reflection and kind of more yin, I guess, kind of energy. But I don't have a specific date that I follow. I just kind of notice that I think about these things more during this time. Maybe because I have more time, and it's darker, so it's like you might as well just like think about think about this shit. But my season of the dead, season of remembering, cleansing, processing cycles, and kind of like necropolis stuff is coming up in Capricorn season. So I'm a Cancer sun. Generally, when the moon is in Cap, I don't like it. I feel really unsettled. And when the sun is in Cap, I don't feel good either. And it's not I don't feel good as in like I'm really unwell, but just it's a little unsettling because it's like a really heavy energy. It's really heavy, and it's not like Scorpio energy, like Scorpio season, where like I feel like you expect like, come on, say it, like death energy. Capricorn energy is like more like death remembrance energy, right? Like, yeah, it's different. It's like a heavy film over things as opposed to the item itself being weighted. It's like the item just energetically feels heavy because of that like fog film that's over it. And so working through that and remembering ancestors and stuff like that is like becoming more important to me. If you don't know, I'm an animist. Well, you probably would know. I don't think I explained that in one of my videos. But I'm an animist. I'm not attached to any like one religion, although I am getting more interested in Dikenga, Dikenga cosmology, which is more like from the Congo, DRC, DRC. As far as I research, but yeah, so getting more into that, and I just feel like honoring my ancestors in that way. I feel like it's just a good time to like cleanse, and then it goes into like my family traditions. So I'm African American, so I'm an American descendant, African descent, but not necessarily the same way that someone who's Caribbean or African immigrant would be, right? So my family has been here for a while. They aren't like first gen or second gen or anything like that. They're not attached to immigration, essentially. They're attached to slavery here in the United States of America. So that's how I define African American. The definition is kind of weird and broadening, and to include other groups that I'm just like, like I don't understand this. But anyway, that's how I view it, and that's what I stick to, and that's how I identify other people. So if you don't fall into that box, tough luck, because I'm not going to identify you as that. So I'm African American, and we have in my family, and some families you can look this up, like New Year's Eve traditions, and generally they involve like blood-eyed peas, collard greens, and that's more like bounty and luck. But then we also like clean laundry and we clean, because you don't want to go into New Year with like old shit, like dirty shit, and then you have somebody cross the threshold, generally a man, on New Year's to bring luck. Whatever you feel about that, keep your feminist ideas to yourself. The reality is most men need more than women in general. Whether you agree with why that works out like that, is what it is. That's what my family does. We're not so strict on it now. Another thing is we generally don't have visitors either. Like, we don't really want you at our house. Although, like, it gets broken now, you know, because people come over. Really just my dad and stepmom. But, energetically, I started noticing that was something that I wanted to incorporate my own family, especially the cleaning part. And it's kind of just interesting how energetically that became very important to me, because growing up it was like something we just did, and then you're just like, why are you doing it, you know what I'm saying? And then when you get older you get an appreciation for it, and so that's where I'm going with that. Essentially, I think my Saturn return kind of forced me to evaluate things that when I grew up I like can look back on it fondly, because being in it at 13, 14, 15 years old, you're kind of like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we doing this? But when you're like, you know, 27, 28, 29, 30, and you're going to have kids yourself, you're kind of like, well, what can I hand down and pass down? Like, legacy becomes really important. And so, culturally, it's not the same where, like, we have a cultural dress or cultural dance or something like that, like, but this little thing that we do is like very significant to me and important to me, and it's something that I am proud to claim that we do. Like, I'm proud of it, like, I like it. And there's other African Americans that do that, like, do this thing. Now my family has more like southern roots. My friend in Cali, I don't think does this at all. She wouldn't have like hard roots in this. So yeah. So connecting with your ancestors is basically the topic. And I'm gonna like change my altar out, clean that up, offer, you know, all of that stuff. Probably I do think I'm gonna create like a deck or something like that to honor ancestors and like put that there, because right now on my altar I put different decks up. Like, I pull a card, I put water out there, have like fruit that I dry out. I need to start making like spells from that, and I just feel like I want to make a deck for them, so I might do that in the future. When it comes to like ancestral connection, I didn't grow up really thinking about ancestral connection, and what I mean by that is having an interest in where in Africa I come from. I'm not really one of those people, surprise, surprise, that and this is a larger topic on lineage. I don't find my legitimacy or validation from figuring out what country I come from in Africa, because I know that I am legitimate by virtue of me being who I am, and me figuring out where I came from as far as like what country doesn't really help me, because these countries didn't exist when my ancestors were there. And that's one of the things that I have really, how can I say, really, I guess maybe different opinions than other people may have. Like, if I find out I have 35% Nigerian, like my ancestors weren't Nigerian. Nigeria didn't exist. It doesn't exist in their consciousness. When I connect with them, it's not Nigerian culture that I'm connecting to, right? And I don't really even feel pulled to Nigerian culture. I know they're really like in the back, like, what? You don't claim us? Like, no, I don't. But yeah, like, those are topics on lineage that can go from another day. But anyway, connecting with those ancestors back there that were like from like directly from the continent, not the ones that like are my great grandfather, the ones that would be more here in the US. I found the best way to connect and open up this whole connection in general was to do a womb meditation. If you don't have like a womb, a uterus, you have a root chakra and a sacral chakra. You have that. And so, but let's go back to the womb part. For me, learning about this reproductive system that I have was really important. Even if you have like, male reproductive, learning about this system and learning the different parts and how they function and learning about menstruation, learning about that whole cycle, it really helped tune you into like mortality and that you're from something, you're from someone, you're from something, you're from someone, you come from somewhere, in the ethereal, spiritual sense, and in the very physical sense. And so doing that, learning about the body, really helped me kind of appreciate where I come from in the very literal body sense. On an energetic level, it opened me up to communicating with those energies because I had never communicated with ancestors. I've never thought about ancestors, especially the ones on the continent. I've never really thought about them. I'm going to say I didn't care. I really didn't care. And as I get older, it's not that I don't care still. It's just I'm not. This is going to be like one of those. This is another topic. I'm just not one of those. How can I say this? I don't come to ancestral search as an African descended person from a place of loss. I don't consider myself lost. And I think that's the issue that I have. I'm not lost. And so I don't come, that's a really weird vibration for me. Maybe I have a Leo moon and I just can't deal with that idea that we're just lost, because we're not lost. We exist, we're here, and I feel like when it comes to ancestry, the more you say that you're lost, the less grounded in your body you can be, and the less grounded in the experience you can be, and it's kind of escapist, because you're not here. You're going to constantly be searching, and I think that instead of letting the whole thing uncover or unfold, like there's just like this stuckness that exists when you come to ancestry feeling lost. Like, I don't know. And I know that's easy to say, because there's some people who truly do need that connection, that healing in that way. But I think that for me, ancestral healing has really become about noticing cycles and being appreciative of the cycles that I've progressed past and the cycles that I'm willing to take on as a human being who comes from someone, who came from someone, who came from someone, and so on and so forth. And that there were larger energetics that played a role in how they turned out, and there's more minute energetics that played a role in how they came out. And the minute ones are feeding future generations, and like these little peculiar little things that are happening that are expressing themselves in my reality, I am fixing through observing them, going after them, acknowledging them, facing them, forgiving them, letting them go, speaking up about them, etc. Making my mind up that I'm going to block this energy from going forward, and almost working on a cellular level, cellular memory level, to heal oneself so that it doesn't transmute epigenetically, right? Because I think epigenetics plays a huge role in ancestral work. So there's that. Going through womb work, getting connected with that, like I said, is really helpful. You just kind of unlock a little bit about your body that you don't know, because, you know, surprisingly, we don't know that much about our bodies. It's kind of interesting that you live in this thing called a body and you don't know much about it. Like, even you go to school, if you're able to go to school, you don't learn too much about it. You learn the more sterilized, kind of removed physiological definitions, but you never really learn to embody it. And part of that is that would help you to embody you a lot more and gain a sense of autonomy. That goes into larger ideas, even maybe larger agendas against that. But yeah. So for me, I started, let's get to the point. Those were the ideas about it, right? I took a womb class, Women Wellness, WOMBEN, Wellness, WELLNESS, if I spelled it right. I took like a short course on like wombs in the bodies, and she had in there a meditation, and it was focused on the womb. And when I was doing the meditation, I don't see spirits, but I can feel things from time to time. I can't necessarily always feel, like, I'm not hyper tuned in. I kind of prefer not to be. I don't have the bandwidth to deal with seeing shit and then always feeling shit, and then like I don't have the bandwidth. And I specifically asked my ancestors, please don't show me anything. I don't want to see anything. I really don't want to feel anything. Because it's kind of icky out here. You know, you're not always connecting with the best things, or the best things are not trying to connect, always trying to connect with you. But when I was doing that meditation, what ended up happening was I felt like there was this energetic cord that was pulling me back, and I felt like I was just connecting. And from that, I got a lot of like words that I was like, this shit is made the fuck up. Like, this shit is made up. And I would write it down, and it's like different like areas in Africa specifically. Surprisingly, the ancestors on the continent of Africa showed up like first. You would think the ancestors that were like more closely related would be the ones that like came through, but no, it was the ones that were there. In that course, I felt like I had a little glimpse of what was happening right before they were shipped off to the Americas. Even now, I'm getting inklings of places that we may have gone before arriving here, and different things that are popping up when it comes to ancestry and things like that. And so it's been really interesting, some of the things that I've felt and some of the things that I feel like I've seen in my mind's eye. I think I might do a part 2 of this, so let me do a part 2. I'll come back. Peace.